Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we are going to see what is Pareto principle. The Pareto principle is also known as the 80% rule. So what does this principle state? It states that 80% of the effect comes from 20% of the causes. For example, the 80% of a country's wealth might be owned by 20% of the population, or 80% of a company's sale might come from 20% of its customers. So what can we do when we get this data? So when the company knows that these 20% customers are generating the highest revenue, they will focus more on these 20% customers. So that we get to know through Pareto chart. But a point to note is that it is not always 20%. It might be 19%, 18%, 22%, 25%, or even 30%. The main idea behind this principle is to show the disproportion between the distribution. The basic idea is that the disproportion impact remains consistent. Consistent always doesn't mean 20%. It means it could be 25, 22, 19, 18%. Okay. Now let's build a Pareto chart in Excel. The Pareto chart looks like a histogram in a sorted way. So I have two columns, person and wealth. I have 10 people over here. So according to Pareto, it would mean that 80%, or sorry, 20% of these people are contributing to 80% of the wealth. So 20% of 10 is 2. That is, the top 2% are contributing to the 80% of the wealth. So I have sorted this wealth column from top to bottom. So my result should show that these two persons, A and B, are contributing to 80% of the wealth. So for Pareto chart, we need cumulative sum. What I'll do is, first I will sum all these values. This is the total I get. Now I'll find percentages. What percent is this number of the total? I divide this by this. I want each cell to be divided by cell B12, so I use the absolute cell reference. So that is using the dollars. I hit enter. I scroll down. I use percentage. So this is the percentage I get. Now in the next column, I'm finding the cumulative percentage. So for the first, it will be 29 itself. That is cell C2. Enter. For the next, it is equal to cell C3 plus the cell above it, that is cell D2. It gives me 52%. Let's drag it down. Okay. Now let's build a chart. I select this data. I go to insert. I go to recommended charts. It already gives me a Pareto chart of thing as recommended. Now what I did was I changed 120% to 100% just to make my chart look a bit neater. At the beginning of the video, I said 20% of the people should contribute to 80% of my wealth. I have 10 people, so 20% of 10, which is equal to 2. The first two people should contribute to 80% of my wealth, that is person A and person B. But what we see is the 80% lies here. This is somewhere my 80% lies between 73% and 90%. So in reality, what we see is the first three people, A, B, and C, are contributing to 80% of my wealth. So, as I mentioned earlier, that the 80-20% principle doesn't always means exactly 20%. It could be 15%, 19%, 20%, 25%, or even 30%. As in our case, it is not 20%, it is more than 20%. So, this shows that by this principle, we are only trying to show that there is a unequal distribution. The data is not equally distributed always. Now, if I come to the chart, where does my 80% lie? So, 80% is this line, and it meets my cumulative sum line at this point. This is the point where it meets. I'll draw a line over here. So by chart also we see that person A, B, and C are contributing to 80% of the wealth. I hope you understand what is Pareto chart now. It is not always 20%, it could be more than or less than 20%. If you have any questions, let me know in this comment section. I will be happy to help. Please like my video and also subscribe to my channel for further such videos. Thank you and have a good day. Bye bye.